The Arizona Cardinals are 2-2 as I record this video, and they just lost back-to-back games in their division in similar fashion. Last week, you lost to the San Francisco 49ers, 15-16, walk-off field goal. And tonight's matchup, you lost to the Seattle Seahawks, 23-20. They need more out of Kyler Murray, and they need more out of Coach Drew, their offensive coordinator. They have pieces on their offense. Now, it's not the best, but they have enough pieces to go out there and win football games if they can just be more aggressive on the offensive end and if Kyler Murray can play better. And that's one thing that I've noticed with Jonathan Gannon since he's become the head coach with this organization. This is a very conservative team on the offensive end because they depend so much on their defense. And this was the case last year. They had a lead in this division, not a huge one, but you had a lead in this division. You beat the 49ers. You went out there and you took care of business. You had the game against the Los Angeles Rams where you looked very good early on in the season. You blew them out. But as the season went on, Kyler Murray was worse against pressure. He was worse against the blitz. And the offensive play calls weren't the same after week 10. So you blew that lead in the division and you missed the NFL playoffs. This is a Cardinals team now that has made a lot of changes over the last few years around Kyler Murray with this coaching staff. Look at it from this standpoint here with their offense and the fact that it needs to be better with the play calling and the players have to be better. In week 1 against one of the worst teams in the NFL, as I record this video, the New Orleans Saints, you won this game 20-13. Kyler Murray only had 163 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and he got sacked 5 times. That sounds like a close game on paper. The Cardinals had this game all the way through. They let the New Orleans Saints try to make a comeback late in this matchup in the fourth quarter. That's not good enough because you went so conservative on the offensive end with the same rushing plays, with the same screen plays over and over again. Against the Carolina Panthers, another team that's one of the weaker teams in the NFL. You almost let them make a comeback late in this matchup. You won this game 27-22. You mean to tell me if your offense can go out there and score 27 points, why are you not putting your foot to the gas pedal and keeping them away from you? If it did not come down to the Calais Campbell, to having that great play on Bryce Young late in the matchup, we may be having a different conversation. And what concerns me with the Cardinals here, last week, the 49ers, no Brock Purdy, no George Kittle, no Brandon Ayuk, and Nick Bosa went down. That sounds like an Arizona Cardinal win, but you lost that matchup and you only scored 15 points. When your defense only allows 16 points, that should be a win in today's NFL, but that was not the case because your offense wasn't good enough and they were not aggressive enough for all 4 quarters. It's more than just 2 quarters in the NFL. And now we fast forward to tonight's game. And I understand the penalty on the kicker. It places the ball at the 40 for the Seahawks. He didn't put the ball in the landing zone. It gives them shorter field. I understand that. But at the same time, your offense only had 3 points entering half. Coach Drew needs to be a better offensive coordinator. And if he can't be better, move on from him. Because we've seen this movie before in the past, and no Arizona Cardinal fan likes the ending at all. And Kyler Murray, he has to be better. Had a terrible interception against the Carolina Panthers. He's been reckless with the football in the past. Now, I still think that Kyler Murray is a very talented quarterback. Use him more so on the run. Get him outside the pocket, which goes back into the Coach Drew conversation. When you look at quarterbacks that can move around, like Josh Allen, like Lamar Jackson, sure, they have a lot of scrambles on their own, but their coaches use their legs to their advantage. They'll move them outside with some motion plays. They'll move the offensive line. The Ravens have done that. The Bills have done that. The Arizona Cardinals, they use Kyler Murray more so as a pocket passer. And that was the case last year. This is a man that can move around the field. And he could throw dimes across the field as well. So get Kyler Murray moving with his legs. And you're going to need him to move in the open field with James Conner going down with that brutal leg injury that he suffered last week against the 49ers. But in this aspect here, Kyler Murray has to do a better job in terms of just throwing his wide receivers open. You know, in the past, he's played with wide receivers like Marquise Hollywood Brown. The same with DeAndre Hopkins. They can get open repeatedly over and over again. He had an offensive head coach in Cliff Kingsbury. He schemed a lot of open looks up for Kyler Murray. Was Cliff Kingsbury the best head coach? No, far from it. But he was very quarterback friendly with Kyler. Since then, The Arizona Cardinals, they're asking for Kyler Murray to go out there and throw wide receivers open like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Michael Wilson, and the same with Zay Jones. If Zay Jones comes down with that football last week, we're having a different conversation. They may go out there and they may win that game against the 49ers, and now you're 3-1 on the season, or you carry all that momentum over from last week and you're 4-0 on the season. It comes down to the small plays here. But it came down to more plays before that, with Kyler Murray just spraying a lot of throws all over the field. Is it 100% fair to ask Kyler Murray to throw wide receivers open? No. Because when you look at what you did in the first round last year, you drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. to be this elite wide receiver straight out the gate. We've seen wide receivers enter the league. Year one, they're ready to go. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Emeka Egbuka right now for Tampa Bay. Marvin Harrison Jr. had a lot of good moments last season, don't get me wrong. But so far this season, he's been so inconsistent. He's not this elite separator. The route running is there, but it can be better. And his hands have been a huge question mark this season. This man had a drop in tonight's matchup against Seattle that went for an interception. You can't have that out of a first-round pick. I'm sorry. He's had a lot of drops this season. Crucial drops late in game and even early on certain drives to where it's second or third down. And you drop the football on third down, now we have to punt if you're the Arizona Cardinals. Now, late in this matchup, he had a beautiful catch that went for a touchdown. He took a knee. He was emotional. He has to get his head into the game. Right now, he's in his own head. Get out of it, because they need him to be the premier wide receiver on the outside. Zay Jones, who did miss tonight's game, he's a number 3 at best. Michael Wilson is a number 2 at best. They need Marvin Harrison Jr. to step up and to be that guy alongside Kyler Murray. And far as Trey McBride, he's the best player that they have as a wide receiving threat at the tight end position. He's a phenomenal player. He's in the same conversation with some of the top receiving tight ends in football. And you notice in tonight's game, Seattle, they put that bracket coverage on him to where you have a linebacker underneath, and now you have a cornerback shifting over, or you have a safety coming down. You can't throw him the football. He's in double coverage, essentially. You throw him the football, that's an interception waiting to happen. You can't have moments like that. So that's why Marvin Harrison Jr. has to step up. And back to Coach Drew here, if you could scheme up on wide receivers, that would be great. That's what top offensive coordinators do. Look at what Cliff Kingsbury's doing right now with Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. Joe Brady with the Buffalo Bills. The same with Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. I know we always say, this is the toughest league in the world. The NFL, the best of the best. But you can still go out there and scheme up on wide receivers. You can still go out there and make life easier on your quarterback. Right now, it's Kyler Murray. Save us late in the game. Kyler Murray, make the right play. And to give Coach Drew some credit here, late in the matchup, he had a beautiful pass to Amari out of the flat. That was a beautiful play call design. The defense forgot about him. But once again, it's a flat route to the outside. It goes for that touchdown. Same time, if you do that earlier in this game, they may take that play away from you. But it did go for a touchdown. Now, I am concerned about the running backs of this organization because James Conner, he was able to wear you down. He's a top power back in this league. He may not be the same player after breaking his leg. But you have Trey Benson. There's a lot of upside there, and the same with Amari. They're not bell cow running backs. So look for the Arizona Cardinals to possibly make a trade to bring in a true bell cow behind Kyler Murray. In the offensive line, I believe that it's more than good enough. You have Paris Johnson Jr., who was one of the best tackles in the game at his position. And Kelvin Beachum, he stepped in last week. When he went down, he performed very well against the 49ers. And you have Jonah Williams at the right tackle position. It's not the best offensive line in football, far from it, but I believe that it's good enough to give Kyler Murray a lot of time and give him passing lanes to get the football off to the wide receivers here. So this is not a video to where I'm just going to come on here and say Kyler Murray's terrible. The Arizona Cardinals need to go out there. They need to move on. I don't think that's the case here. He's very talented. It's more so the coaching and the players around Kyler Murray right now. If it was a person that I'll give majority of the blame to, it would be Coach Drew, because we saw the same movie last year. We know that Kyler Murray can go out there and have big time moments. Hasn't won a playoff game just yet, but he's a very talented quarterback. Is he going to go out there and is he going to be this franchise lifter like a Josh Allen, like a Lamar Jackson or a Patrick Mahomes? No. But in the right circumstances, you can win big games with Kyler Murray. We just saw this last year. What concerns me with the Arizona Cardinals, you can beat up on bad teams like the Saints and the Panthers, but can you beat the good teams? And tonight, you couldn't beat the Seattle Seahawks. You couldn't beat the beat-up San Francisco 49ers last week. And you can say that they're just a couple plays away. But at the same time, the expectation is for the Arizona Cardinals to go out there and to win these games and to be in there all the way through, especially with this playoff-ready defense. Now, let's get to the positives here. I love their defense. Calais Campbell is still one of the best players at his position. This man can play till he's over 40 years old at this point. He's 39. But he had that great play in week 1 against the Saints, had a phenomenal play against Bryce Young, the Carolina Panthers, late in the fourth quarter that helped them ice out the game. He's a tremendous playmaker still. Josh Sweat is that edge rusher that you've been looking for since J.J. Watt retired. That's one thing to bring up. The Arizona Cardinals have not had a top edge rusher since J.J. Watt. You now have that in Josh Sweat, who shares a special connection with Jonathan Gannon because he helped coach him up with the Philadelphia Eagles. He had a great play in tonight's game against Sam Darnold that went for a forced fumble. You couldn't come down with the football, but it helped set the tone in the second half. And the commentators did make up a good point. He did give up on the play that went for a touchdown, but at the same time, that play would have went for a touchdown anyway with Zach Charbonnet. It was not much that he could have done in that situation. Your secondary, Budda Baker, is a tremendous safety. Will Johnson, if he could stay fully healthy, he could be one of the best cornerbacks in this league. Look at what he did in week 1. He was a top-rated cornerback that game and that week. And he's just a rookie. He just has to stay healthy coming out of Michigan. There's a lot of upside there with him. You look at Xavier Collins, hasn't lived up to that first-round hype. But he's not a bad player. He's a tackle machine. They don't know where to have him as an edge rusher or an off-ball linebacker. But there's a lot of talent with him at that position. Max Melton, I think that he could be a very good player long-term. And Garrett Williams right now in the secondary, he's on IR. But the biggest things here for the Arizona Cardinals, consistency on the offensive end. Kyler Murray has to be better. And it starts with Coach Drew, their offensive coordinator. We'll see how the Arizona Cardinals perform over the next couple of months, but being 2-2 right now is not the ideal situation for a Cardinals team that was just a couple plays away from going out there and defeating the San Francisco 49ers. And they're also just a couple plays away from defeating the Seattle Seahawks. And one more thing about this offense. Whenever your defense is able to go out there and hold teams to 20 or under 20 points, you have to find a way to win. Simple as that in today's game. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about the Arizona Cardinals moving forward with Kyler Murray and Coach Drew? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.